stopping his excitement, or Connor with the K, very excited.
Look at Tequila.
Tequila's got a bounce in his step. A lot of wins there.
Yeah.
So where are we? I mean, we're inside. We thought we would be outside today. It was properly communicated. That is a real
Coach is
dance
up.
right there.
There's
Here,
a
let's
lot
go to the
going on out
podium.
there.
Here's Coach.
Deshaun talked about taking ownership of the offense.
You're down.
Bunch of ways, I'd say, Scott. I mean, that starts back in April, and as we install the offense, and there's so much nuance to what we do offensively, what everybody does in this NFL. So I think just understanding all the different elements of our run, pass game, protections, really just diving into it, I think is the biggest thing.
You said part of that's building trust with you and AVP. Is that something that continues to grow?
It should. I mean, that's any good relationship. Builds trust as time goes on. But yeah, he knows that he has the ultimate. He has the ultimate trust from us when he's standing there behind the center. We always talk about that's the best view in the house. So what he sees, we trust what he sees.
Kevin, how would you assess the way the backup running back situation is right now?
Yeah, I think it's great competition. Obviously, unfortunate with Jerome's injury. Unfortunate for Jerome, but great opportunity for those other guys to get good reps out here at practice, getting great reps in the game. So I think it's a great competition in that entire room.
I know we've asked you about Jerome many times, but give us an update, please, on his situation.
I mean, no real update, Jeff, other than to say he's progressing with his injury. He spends a lot of time in the meeting rooms and these walkthroughs getting good reps, but he's progressing.
Kevin, MJ had such a fantastic rookie season. Just as he goes into year two here, where's the biggest area of growth, and how much does that man-to-man philosophy that Jim Schwartz has brought to the defense, how much can that make him an even better player?
Yeah, had a good rookie campaign and needs to get better, like all those second-year players. So we're excited about his growth. He takes this game very seriously. He works at his craft. Just watch him and Coach Lynch and Denzel and Greg. I mean, they're constantly working. So he'll keep coming along. As to the amount of, man you play, that's really for the season, and we'll see how that all shakes out. But MJ's, I think, adept at playing man, zone, off, press, all of it.
Do you guys need to see Jakeem on offense in a game before you make your roster decisions?
No.
Kevin, will you take Deshaun out of there after a series if Andy Reid takes his starters out of there after a series?
No, we'll kind of stick to our plan. Mary Kay, I've texted with Coach Reid. I kind of know what they're doing. I'll let him share that whenever he's sharing it, but we'll just do what we do, or what we're planning.
Hey, Coach, last week you guys held the ball for 39 minutes, 400 yards of total offense, but only 18 points. As a play caller, what are you trying to do this week? What have you been emphasizing in practice to look every Kansas City?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing obviously there is you got to finish. You got to finish drives in the red zone. You want to score points every time you touch the rock, and whether it takes one play or 10 plays, we don't really care. But we got to find a way to finish those drives.
Is Walker and Taki ready to see some action?
Well, I'm going to get through these practices, in pads today, see how they're doing, but they're both very close.
Are you pretty confident that Jack will be able to start the opener, and if not, do you feel really good about what you have behind him at tackle?
I do feel confident, Mary Kay, and yeah, I like the guys that we're working in. As you know, it's you're always working through injuries, and you're getting new guys in there and getting guys with reps at different positions, but we're confident with the guys we have, yes.
When you said you don't need to really see Jakeem on offense to make any determination, where is he at right now as far as his return goes, and how much does the minimization with the rule change that the NFL is trying to, not take away, but they're limit the premium that's placed on the return game? How does that, factor into?
Yeah, I think, to your first part of the question, Jakeem will get return kicks and punts in this game, so we'll get some live reps of him doing that. But we value the return game. I don't know that anybody understands how the new rule is going to affect the number of returns. I think it's way too early to say. I think we all kind of have our guesses on how that might go, but we definitely value the return game.
Yesterday, Bubba was kind of videoing Cade York on the side. It was a little unusual. Is there some mechanical problem you discovered?
Bubba was videoing, you're saying? Yeah, I mean, that's not unusual. We're always looking at things technically. We use a lot of different videos with the kicking game and really with all of our guys. We we videotape some of these walkthroughs too. So
Has there been a mechanical issue discovered?
I think with all of our players, Tony, when you say mechanical issues, just technique. I mean, it's fundamentals and techniques. That's what we'll continue to work on.
Kevin, when you evaluate a young receiver like an Austin Watkins, how much does the ability to play special teams on game day factor in?
Yeah, it's huge. I think those are the type of things, not just for Austin, but for all of our players, Mary Kay, as you start to talk about, 53 and then game day rosters, the more you can do, and specifically the more you can do on special teams, really does have a huge impact on that for all of our players.
With the cut down being so close, I mean, these practices and this last preseason game, how important are they for you guys to see some of the guys that are on the fringe working for that roster start to make it?
Yeah, Cam, I think it's like we've talked about. The evaluation is global. It takes everything into account, and certainly today's practice is a big part of that. The games are always a big part of it, but this evaluation goes all the way back to April as well. From the second we got our guys in the building to all the things we've been doing throughout the spring and summer.
Does Jalen Darden bring an element of speed that you would really like to try to see, before you have to make some of these decisions?
Yeah, I think it's been unfortunate again that we've had an injury there. Tom, get in. Get out of here. Yeah, it's been unfortunate that Jalen's had that injury, which has limited him. But we do know his play style. Obviously, we saw it all last year.
Well, you talked about Miles being in the backfield all the time. So how do you judge how Jed's doing when Miles is having that kind of success?
Yeah, I mean, again, that's nothing new going against Miles for Jed. I think it's great work for him. We judge all the work that we get. It's not just the work that he gets versus Miles, but I mean, he's going up against an all-pro caliber player every day, which will only make him better.
Kevin, when you go into this last preseason game, especially because there's 4 this year for you guys, are there a lot of unknowns on your 53-man roster, or do you go in with a pretty good idea of what it's going to look like?
It's a little bit of both, Dan. I think it's a great problem to have when you're talking about guys at the end of that roster where, hey, we got 4 spots for these 5 guys or these 6 guys. I mean, that's the really tough decisions that have to be made. Andrew and I spend a lot of time talking about those decisions. I trust him with all those decisions. I think we'll be well informed, but it doesn't make it any easier.
Delpit today kind of talked about playing, alongside Miles, Darius, sometimes the Ovo in there too, like that. He feels like one-on-one matchups are going to be easier. It just seems like that's been a big focus, like how you guys have kind of seen that come along when you throw those different combinations out there on the D-line.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of, what makes a good pass rush is having multiple guys that you can throw at a team and line them up in all different areas. I think back to a bunch of teams over the years that they just line 5 guys up and they try to get your offensive line into a 5-0 call, and you're hoping that somebody's going to win, or you're going to run a stunt and get a winner from it. So the more guys that can win one-on-ones, it obviously opens up your playbook.
Kevin, follow-up still outside?
It sounds like we're going inside. They're making an announcement right now.
Thanks, sir.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
You guys are up. You're up.
Oh, are we? No, we are. Hello. Good to see you. Yes, that siren
I can't hear
heard.
I have no audio coming through our board.
Give it.
Right.
What has happened in the
I
facility?
have no idea.
What has happened?
You're deaf now from whatever happened earlier.
That happened often.
I got weather sirens going off.
I could have permanent. There could be permanent. Permanent.
If your ears
damage.
are ringing
They
later,
still are. Yeah, it was
then you're going to have your. That
was a full day.
That
was the first time I've ever thrown earpieces out of my ears.
Like it was
like
loud in my ear.
Yeah, rejecting. Yeah,
through your head, through your skull.
Yeah,
mine didn't get loud. It was just yours.
Just mine. Zzz. Yeah,
that's a mystery.
It went from it wasn't an 11 so much as it was an 1100.
Like a billion.
Yeah, that's what that was. The most noteworthy thing that came of that was the part where training camp practice is moving indoors. So at one point there was a siren, and that means severe weather, and that means head indoors, and that's where we are at the moment. It looks like it is raining out there now.
It is, yes.
Yeah, we're getting a little rain.
The sky is dark. Things do not look great.
This didn't used to be August, right? Like it never used to be this. Like
global
rain.
warming's real, brother. Hottest July in over 1,100 years around the globe. Forest fires running amok.
Yeah. Yeah,
like we've
all
never
the way
seen
way
before.
north too, like way north Canada, Yukon.
Crazy storms.
Tropical storm in L.A.
Yeah.
Yeah. If this is what new August is, I'm not here for it. I'll tell you, because the amount of rain that we've gotten this month is hard to wrap your head around, and it's today and tomorrow. Tomorrow's all locked in too, isn't it? Is it supposed to do this tomorrow?
Let's take a look at our handy dandy weather app. Heavy rain, strong thunderstorm starting in 1 minute here, and will last basically till about 2:30, and then it's good here. So it's going to be just a quick dumping. Tomorrow, 97% and 91 degrees.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah, that's what you're headed
Friday for the nuptials of the great Steve Passoff and Molly and Neil.
Good job of him getting it in before football season.
79 degrees, 25% chance of rain. Love it.
Lovely day.
Lovely day.
Lovely day.
Beautiful.
Now, are you officiating?
I'm not officiating, but I'll be there, and I will share some spoken word. But
some words.
Very, quick.
All should be.
Yeah.
No matter how
There's
gifted
no
you are of a
reason for an
speaker.
exposition. Right.
Yeah. A minute and a half, 90 seconds. That's what I want.
They're showing this thing last night on I got roped into a little Real Housewives of New York by Miss K, and there was a couple doing their vow renewals, which usually feels like, in my experience, post-vow renewal, there's usually, if you renew your vows at some point, there's usually a separation that comes after that.
That's like the last. Hey, the wedding was great. Maybe we should try doing that again.
Yeah.
And then you do it, and then it's like, same.
Right.
You still suck.
Right.
Yeah, let's part ways. Yeah.
So, anyway, at this, they treated it like a wedding. There were 7 speeches. One guy had 4 sheets of paper, 4 printed out pieces of paper for his speech, and it just appeared that they went on far too long. That's not what I'm going to do. I have a good thought in my mind right now. I have one quote that I want to share, and then make one little funny joke, and then wish them well. And this should take less than 90 seconds.
I always had 3 pretty strong rules on speeches at weddings, especially given from the perspective of the best man or anything in that nature. Number 1, it's about the bride. The whole wedding's about the bride. Like, no one cares about the groom. You're just there to look good in a suit, tip your hat, kiss the bride, do the right things.
This is the culmination of a 17-year relationship.
This is a little different circumstances.
So that's why.
So yeah,
I have some joke.
But you're going to be concise, which goes to my second rule, which is however long you initially think you need to speak for, cut it in half. 90 seconds, 2 minutes. You're ready.
That's how I got. Right.
That's where you got to be.
Yeah.
And finally, don't be funny if you aren't.
I am.
If you don't know if you're funny, then you're not.
I am confident.
You're quite clever. You're ready to go.
Confident.
Look at this guy. What's he got?
I don't know. He's got a box of stuff.
You know what I saw today walking in here?
No.
And this could be construed as a bit of a hot take. I think Frayne might have the best gear in the whole operation.
There's no doubt.
His guys
that
look like that white that they're sporting around.
They got quarter zips of it too.
They got quarter zips. They got a hat.
They got that hoodie shell thing.
I saw him outside. I said, "This is too much. This stuff is. He's got too much.
Just share it.
It's great gear.
Yeah.
The security team is well represented.
Yeah.
Well represented. Yeah. So
that hoodie that's like a white body with black sleeves. It's unbelievable.
It really is. It's gorgeous. What did you make of Coach's comments there? Anything catch your attention, or just kind of we're kind of the point where let's just go?
He's not gonna say anything. Okay, number one, we know that. Number 2, didn't feel like much new information. We'll see on AWOC and Talk. I know from talking to both of those guys, they are hoping to get a chance to play, but I don't know if they will. But other than that, that was pretty straightforward. If you talk to Coach Reed, they're going to play their starters a little bit. We're going to play our starters a little bit. And I bet we're not going to play all of them. And go get some good work, and then we'll get on to September 10th.
Yeah, that's where it is. I think we had the restructuring of Chief last night as well, so that gets you to that now $37 million in cap space. As you articulated yesterday, that is much more about next year's trying to get out ahead of that. Deshaun's number 63 next year, so that'll probably be
next year. We'll have about 45% of our cap in Deshaun, Miles, and there's one other one that because of just the way that it's been done. Now, my guess is that'll be done again.
Yeah.
And again. And so what it allows you to do, if you're willing to pay the cash, you can basically get a 5 to 10% premium on the salary cap because you're pushing money forward with the assumption, right, that every year the salary cap's going to go up, which as long as there isn't some crazy thing that goes on, the salary cap will go up every year. And so $50 million out of $200 million, as we know, is 25%. $50 million out of $250 million, though, well, that's only 20%.
Mm-hmm.
So you just made 5% right there. So that's what this is about. And the Browns, again, are very fortunate. We're all very fortunate that we have an owner who is willing to pay the cash to allow these kind of cap games to transpire and to be played.
There you go. So in terms of what's happening out here, this was scheduled to be the last training camp practice anyway, correct?
No,
this was going to be
tomorrow.
Thursday, or there is one tomorrow too, but that's earlier. Okay, so that'll be a morning. So tomorrow you could go too, but tomorrow we could have weather.
Right.
So the team is indoors. We take it for right now.
Yep.
And then we'll see where it goes from that standpoint. A little bit off topic, but I want to hit you with this. The Ohio State University down in Columbus, they hired a new president yesterday. Okay. A Ted Carter. That's significant to this program because we're big fans of the United States Navy. And Ted Carter was a former boss at the Naval Academy and the Navy War College, but more importantly than that, he was in fighter weapons school and was a pilot and has a call sign of Slapshot.
Really?
Yeah. And was, in fact, at the Naval Academy.
Does Modes know this guy?
I texted with Modes. He does. He's aware, very well aware.
Okay.
I checked with him this morning. We had the other thing about Slapshot that's pretty interesting is he was at fighter weapons school in 1985, which theoretically would have put him there around the time that they were filming or prepping Top Gun, which dropped in 86.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there you go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And his
I'm
Slapshot,
excited.
was he a hockey player or is that an
He was
homage
a
to the
hockey
film?
player at the Naval Academy.
His Slapshot, when did Slapshot come out?
70s.
So
yeah.
there it is.
Yeah. So that's cool.
pretty cool.
Yeah, so
I
I
like
look
that.
forward to talking to him.
I was trying to make out. I didn't know what you wrote there. It looked like you said stop something, but I see now that that's
Slapshot. Yeah.
All right.
So I was taking notes as we were going through everything, and then other things I want to bring up to you here in this first segment.
All right, real quick. The Browns have just announced that training camp practice is canceled for. Oh man, that's on the app. That's us. That was us.
That was you and I talking.
That was you and I.
Yeah.
Well, I just got the alert, so I was just trying to click on it.
I
It
see,
took
I
me
see.
into the app, which then took us live. But basically,
Yeah.
that training camp for the fans has been canceled as it's been moving indoors. So
Okay. So then,
officially, that is the case now. All right, I want to ask you a couple other Ohio State questions.
shoot.
What happened? What prompted the Kenny Powers gif from? There he is.
Now that's
There's
the type of
Zesty
zest.
Garlic.
That's what
there
I
he
want.
is, Zesty Scarlet.
Yeah,
Love
even
it.
with the saunter, you can have some zest, do you?
Oh, look at he's.
He's really kicking, really swaying it.
Yeah, right to
I like
left.
it. Yeah,
right
I like
to
that.
left.
All
I
right,
did like
the,
that as well. All right, what
Kenny Powers.
Yeah, what caused the Kenny Powers gif from
Laurinaitis.
Laurinaitis?
They landed a 5-star defensive end
Okay.
out of Georgia.
Yep.
Who played for that's about all you need to know. Otherwise, it takes too long. But they landed this guy. The reason that it was important to me is I put him on to Kenny Powers.
Okay, so
he
then
was
seeing him
unaware. So
use-
then him using it.
that got you excited.
Yeah, that made me
Okay,
excited
all
that
right.
he thought that it is one of the great, really excited gifts. Is La Flama Blanca walking in?
He's got so many of them.
There are
from
so
that
many,
show. You
so
got
many hits.
Dollar bills. You got
Yeah.
him coming on the jet ski.
The jet
just
ski's unbelievable.
Rolling in.
Yeah, the one when they're doing the machine guns and he's in Mexico.
Yeah.
So many good ones. So many good ones.
Okay, so that's good.
All right, there you go.
And then they don't have a starting quarterback, right?
They do not. No. And that one, Bootsy, is the real truth. It's not a matter of anything with NIL. It's not a matter of free transfer, trying to keep a kid on campus. They have two quarterbacks. The way I understand it, neither one has been – they both were 5-star kids in recruiting. So it's Kyle McCord out of Pennsylvania and then Devin Brown out of Utah. They both were highly regarded kids coming in. But the way that I understand it, neither one has been great. And so neither one has taken the job. McCord's a year ahead of Brown. He's a red shirt. He's in his third year. Brown's in his second. But it's not a situation where both have been lights out. It's more of a situation where neither one's been great.
So is this like if you could talk to Quinn Ewers, would you have said if you just waited, now you would have this would be what his junior year, and you'd have 1 year to light it up with Marvin Harrison and be a first-round pick? Yeah,
for sure. He's kind of in that situation at Texas, and he got to play last year though.
Okay.
So if he lights it up this year at Texas, they got to transfer. Georgia's best receiver transferred to Texas this year. Why? After winning 2 national championships at Georgia. He transferred to Texas to catch passes from Quinn Ewers, and probably because of NIL. I'm sure somebody induced him financially, gave him some sort of a deal to come over incentive there. So, yeah, I mean, I think Ewers wins about as big as you can win in that he started last year at Texas. He's a starter this year at Texas, and he's in his home state. And in the meantime, he made about $2 million in Columbus on NIL while being there for 3 months.
And Arch Manning is no threat to him?
He's so far – I mean, he's 3 years in.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be so hard to unseat. Now,
Arch
has been really good in camp down there after having a really rough spring. He's been really good at camp. But I think it would take like almost a Quinn injury for Arch to go in it. Just true freshman to – he played that Isidore Newman, same place Peyton played, just a small school in New Orleans. So, like, to go from that to, like, Texas, the speed is just crazy.
Much different.
Now, Peyton did that. He played right away at Tennessee. There was an injury, and he played right away, I think, first or second game of his freshman year. He was a starter from then for 4 years. Eli did redshirt at Ole Miss, though. So, yeah. Yeah, there you go.
See? Good. I don't know enough, but I know enough to ask questions that get us to places.
Man's got those limitations.
Yeah, that's not my specialty.
That's
I'm just a Pac-12 guy, and it's now defunct.
It's gone.
So there it is.
It's what's crazy. The ACC is quickly on that. The ACC is going to vote in the next 24, 48 hours, allegedly, although I'm dubious that they will, about allowing Stanford and Cal and potentially even SMU into their league. And Stanford would go for nothing. They would basically take no money.
It's absurd.
They would just go out of their endowment to pay for it. It's not likely they'll have the votes because Florida State, North Carolina State, Clemson are all going to vote no because they want to blow up the ACC. They don't want to embolden it at all because they want to get out of the grant of rights. So it's very likely by like next week the Pac-12 will officially be either gone entirely.
It is gone.
Right, but in name only. At least there'd be, if it's Oregon State, Washington State, Stanford, Cal, those are all Pac-10 teams, Pac-12 teams, and then they would have to try to grab some off of the Mountain West, whether that's San Diego State, those type of teams. But it's over. It's done. It's done. It's cooked.
This is my plea. Stanford is one of the most prestigious institutions in the world. It is every year the best overall athletic institution in the world.
Yeah.
It sends people to the Olympics.
Yep.
It sends people to win Nobel Prizes.
Yep.
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
For a Big Ten, you can't tell me that they're not as good as, Rutgers.
They're way better.
So why are they not in the Big Ten? I mean, it adds
Rutgers
to the
had a
prestige.
sliding doors moment 10 years ago where Jim Delaney, who was the boss of the Big Ten, felt that cable buy was the most important thing. And so in order to increase the cable buy profits for the individual members of the Big Ten Conference, he entered into the New York market and the D.C. market. So that's how you got Maryland and Rutgers. Sure. And he was willing to bet over the long period of time that the money given to them from the Big Ten would lift those schools up. He's still defiant in saying that eventually it will. I remember having Gene Smith, the athletic director of Ohio State, on at the time, and I said, Gene, this seems naive to me. Neither of these schools have ever been
was better
anything.
Decades ago.
Neither of these have ever been anything in football ever, never of anything of consequence. And he responded, and I love Gene, but he said, I think you're being naive. I think over 10 years I've been proven right. They've gotten the money for a long time. Rutgers is still running a $200+ million deficit in their athletic department because they cannot keep up. There is not the fan interest. Their stadium sucks. They're not selling tickets, none of that. So it's done nothing for Rutgers. It emboldened the Big Ten's coffers for a period of time where they went from making $50 million a year per team on the Big Ten network to upwards of $100 million over the course of a short term. But now, as cable buy is going down and you're purchasing what you want when you want it, what matters most is the type of television shows you can create. And Rutgers is not a very good television show.
No, but
they would have been much better off adding Oklahoma and Texas 10 years ago, which were both they could have had. They could have had both, and instead they went for these markets. So
Stanford
that's how you got
to
there.
me though is it's Stanford.
It is Stanford. I think Stanford
and it's
is
the Bay Area.
Yeah, but nobody there cares. No one goes to the games. They don't watch college football. Nobody at Cal goes to the games. They don't watch college football.
That just by its mere presence elevates your organization.
I've been saying for 2 weeks that the Big Ten should take Stanford, Cal, both if you want, but certainly Stanford. And I'd be interested in SMU, and I would do it under what they're willing to do in the ACC. You can come in, take no money, right? We're not going to give you any share of it. Go into your $36 billion endowment, And then by the time we redo the television deal, you can be in the league. There's no question the Big Ten would benefit by having Stanford. There's no question. I think they'd benefit from having Cal.
I'd also suggest, as a little counterpoint to what you just opened up with there, I would suggest that it would be in the Big Ten's interest for Stanford to elevate its football. And so why would you want to give them some of that money that you could use to say this is just for football? Like Stanford does everything else well. They've
done football well in our life. They have 3 Heisman finalists in the last 15 years.
Right.
So they've done it.
But if you were able to even enhance that and give them like the ability to go out there, it feels to me like that is a no-brainer. It's a historic brand.
It's just not the conferences.
So recognizable.
The conferences are being run by television networks, and Fox does not have an interest in showing Stanford or Cal football. That's all it is.
I mean, you just think about the alumni from there that are in the league.
I think Stanford is the coolest, most prestigious university in the world.
Yeah, I think
it is the university.
Have you ever been?
It's the coolest. Yeah, I've been. It's stunning.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think Berkeley's cool too.
Berkeley
it's
is
not
cool.
Stanford, but it's cool.
Stanford's unbelievable.
It is. Yeah. Kind of defies logic. But yeah, that's where you're at. Where you're at in college sports.
Zago went to Stanford. Like for Stanford to be without it's just.
Of all of the ones without a home, that's the one that's the most absurd.
It's absurd.
And to be honest, to be quite honest with you, if you hooked up the Big Ten presidents to lie detector test, they would probably get rid of 8 of their members upwards to have Stanford.
How long do they have to
Rutgers,
keep
Maryland, Illinois, Indiana. I don't know that there's any interest in Purdue, big picture, Minnesota.
Those are like classic Big
They
Ten
are, but
brands.
none of them are television shows. And that's all they're trying to create. Stanford's a better television show than all of those.
That's what I think. When you said it's about a television show, it's a beautiful, beautiful stadium. Stanford Stadium's awesome.
Yeah, beautiful. The Super Bowls were there.
Yes, the Niners beat the Dolphins 38-16.
Yeah. So it's hard to wrap your head around. Last thing I'll say on this: the Big Ten's approach to this has been with Fox and their television partners is we'll take Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, soon to be USC. And we will have them play. Remember, we had this conversation about the SEC was playing the hits, and the Big Ten is not. They're going to have the big brands lift up the little guys because they don't have enough big guys.
You need to have all the classic matchups.
Yeah, they're not going to do that.
That's crazy.
All right, practice has moved inside here. We'll get you some takeaways from yesterday's practice as well, some news around the team. You have that to look forward to. Go around the league. Deshaun Watson at the podium, a little bit of higher or lower as well. We're off and running on a First Friday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.
The great
You're down.
is on.
Browns fans, avocados from Purdue will be at Seven Hills Meyer location 1 to 3 Friday the 25th. Stop by to enter the Ultimate Football Sweepstakes for your chance to win a 2023 Ford Lightning electric truck. Play games, win prizes, meet Hanford Dixon. For more info, visit Cleveland Browns Facebook page, and you can find it there. Yesterday we were out there at practice. It wrapped up just as we were getting off the air yesterday. Good, bad? One more.
Oh,
got it.
Baby.
You got it.
It was, to be honest with you, there were very limited competitive periods. Yesterday's practice was much more about at the end, kind of a long walkthrough period. I thought, Denzel Ward continues to be fantastic this camp. This defense suits him. You hear the excitement. We had Gibbe got to interview him yesterday for the Kevin Stefanski show, and you can just hear how much he likes playing for Jim Schwartz, how much he likes this defense, and what he's being asked to do in it, and he's played well. I thought Deshaun had some nice connections with the receivers, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Amari Cooper once again. And I thought Jordan Wilkins, the running back who feels to me like the only guy that's on this roster that really could stick as that third running back long term. Like I do think something that, if he doesn't get in, that goes Felton. I think, that could be something that could change after the 53 cutdowns and whatnot. So I'm intrigued by him. It was good to see Taki out there, good to see Awak out there. So hopefully those guys are back and are able to get some game reps. But I think, yesterday the thing that took place closest to us, didn't get a lot of coverage, obviously, was Cade. And I think that right now remains the biggest question for this team going into the season. I think everything else is there. And I think it's what a wonderful thing it is that we're talking about the kicker. But I think that's right now the one thing that is, that needs to be sorted prior to the season.
Yeah, and then the definition of sorting that, or the interpretation of sorting that, is the next part of it. And you just keep waiting, for Cade to go, and it feels like that those last two kicks at the end of the game, it's a golfer. There's no better analogy. That's what it is. It's a putter standing over a putt and not believing it's going to drop.
Yep.
And that's where he's at right now. Can it be fixed by the opener? That's the job of Bubba Ventrone. That's the job of the staff to get him in position. But also, as we've articulated many, many times on this show, the razor-thin margin that is the AFC, even a singular loss that comes down to something that could have been prevented is one too many.
Yeah.
There's just, you go around this conference, there's no room for it.
I just want people to have some perspective, though, because, you always hear Phil Dawson. Phil Dawson, 14 years here with the Browns, was a great kicker, made 84% of his kicks in that time, and was a one-time Pro Bowler. He actually, in his 4 years with the Niners after leaving here, had the best 4-year stretch of his career, made 86% of his kicks at that time. But Phil Dawson's career started in 1999. He made 66.7% his rookie year, 82.4% his second year, 88% his third year, and 79% in his fourth season. And what's also interesting is he missed an extra point in 3 out of those first 4 years, and that's back when the extra point was a chip shot.
Yep.
So Phil Dawson didn't have a season in the 90% until 2005, when he made 93% of his kicks but did not attempt a single field goal of more than 50 yards that season. It's obviously a very different game now. The only other time he made over 90% of the kicks in his career was 2012 with the Browns, his final season, when he did go to the Pro Bowl and made 93% that year, including 7 of 7 from more than 50 yards. So he was incredible in 2012. But that took him a long time to get there. And what's interesting is after 2005, he actually followed up the next year, 2006, making 72% of his kicks, going 6 of 12 from 40 to 49. And I think we kind of have in our minds that it was just automatic for his entire career. And, that was not the case here with the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, a couple incredible seasons with the Browns, 2 years of 93% or higher. He became a real distance kicker, ironically, as he got older. By 2011, he made 7 from 50. 2012, 7 from 50, then 4, then 6 with the Niners. So you can see how it's changed and how kicking has changed and what people are willing to do. But it was not like he was just automatic right off the streets week 1 or year 1 or year 2. He was below 83% in 3 of his first 4 seasons.
I think a
and
big
4 of his first 6.
Let me run this by you.
Yeah.
Do you think that part of the reason that, and Phil was awesome. We've had him in here. He's great.
He's great.
Love talking to him. The best. You're doing you did a great job like outlining the realities of that. And he was great. But is it possible that because the team did not have the success that we've had the last several years, not even in the vicinity, that the few moments that were great were on his leg?
Yes, and he won games and was clutch when he needed to make them. No doubt.
You didn't have this. The stakes were totally different.
Yes.
Than they are now, and the sport's different. I mean, you're just
kicking's different.
Kicking's easier now. Guys are training better.
They're just better.
They're better. It's just there's an evolution to it that's happened. But I do think it's kind of like one of those things where because there were so few successes during that run, it feels like in the mind's eye of most Browns fans that he made 95% of his kicks for his entire career.
And they can remember the kick that just went through off the stanchion to beat, I think, the Baltimore Ravens.
It's unbelievable against Buffalo
in the crazy snow game where he is the entire offense. So, yes, I think there's a lot of validity to what you say. But it's also just not that easy, where everything from the past is always better, right? Nostalgia, all of that.
For sure.
It's just not – but your point is also valid, is that there are incredible stakes. Unfortunately, during Phil Dawson's tenure, just like most of Joe Thomas's tenure, playoffs weren't even an option. So these are very, very different stakes. I mean, I think you look at a guy like Justin Tucker is the rare bird who comes out 91%, 93%, then he goes 85, 82, 97. In 2016, he made 38 of 39 field goals, including 10 of 10 from 50 plus, 14 of 14 from 40 plus. That is from 40 to 49. He was 24 for 24 for more than 40 yards in 2016. Crazy. I mean, he's just on a different level than everybody else. But that's in our division.
I think the reason, and you tell me if I'm wrong on this, I think part of the reason that, I don't know if it's part of the reason, but I think from a fan perspective sometimes you see York and you think, well, he should be McPherson. So same conference, right? Yep. One kicked at Florida, the other kicked at LSU. And they both were bombers, right?
Yep.
So, and we remember McPherson's rookie year at Cincinnati, hitting every big kick that mattered in the postseason, including game winners. He was steely. That first year at Cincinnati, he's an 85% kicker. He's a 96% on extra points. He missed 2. Last year at Cincinnati, he's 83% overall, and he missed 4 extra points.
Yeah.
He was 40 of 44 on extra points. He missed 4 field goals last year in Cincinnati between 40 and 49 yards.
Yeah.
Now he hit all of them 50 plus, coming after the previous year where he was 9 of 11 from 50 plus. So I think that's part of it too. McPherson missed one 20 to 29 last year, as well. So I think that when you draft York, the thinking is, well, we got our McPherson.
Yep.
And he's going to hit all the big kicks. But there is an ebb and flow with the position. All of that to be said, we don't have any margin.
We don't. And, Cade started at 75% rather than 85% his first year. And for him, the big thing, if he goes 12 for 12 from 30 to 39 and he ends up 27 of 32, that's really right where you would have expected him to be, right? Let's see, 27. I bet that's in the 80 on the dot.
On the dot.
84.5%.
Yeah.
So, and those are the ones that are inexcusable. 6 of 8 from 40-49 and 4 of 7 from 50 plus. Like, you can live with that. You'd like it to be a little bit better than 10 of 15, which is 67%. But everything else has to be automatic. And if he was 12 of 12 there, he's right on that number. The problem is we have so much at stake. And you think about some of the kicks that he missed last year. They were consequential. The extra point against the Jets ended up being consequential. The 2 misses against the Chargers ended up being consequential. Attempt to win the game against the Ravens, missed, consequential. Those stick out, and those stick in our memories. And so what we really need to see, and it's unfortunate because we all remember Week 1 Carolina, he won the game, 58 yards.
Yep.
Like, incredible. So there are good moments, obviously, and bad moments from that rookie year. The talent, again, is undeniable. But right now, it's, I think, getting your mind-body connection and allowing that to let your talent shine. That's, I think, what we're struggling with a little bit with Cade.
Yeah, certainly seems that way. Other roster news, Chris Westry was waived this morning, the corner. In addition to that, and we mentioned this already, the restructure of the Chiefs contract creates an extra $2 million in cap space, now $37 million. As Z pointed out yesterday, that's 99.9% for next year because this operation is never going to allow itself to be in a situation where it's in cap jail, and our ownership is willing enough to write checks, and so that's a wonderful spot to be in, to where you can avoid cap jail, and that's largely what that's about.
I just wanted to give, we all, we follow this stuff very closely. You and I, we're always talking about this stuff. But to understand, there are a lot of places, and this didn't exist when we were, younger fans, where you can go and get great information on the salary cap. And so now there's Spot Track, right? There's overthecap.com. For a Browns standpoint, follow Jack Duffin. JackDuffin.
Yep.
He lives across the pond, and this dude is so dialed in on this stuff. That's where the article, and I talked about it from Orange and Brown Report yesterday that I was talking about, that was his stuff. He is incredible. So give him a follow, because he'll keep you plugged in on all of these things, and you'll see how the Browns make a lot of these moves. And he's even good at identifying, in this offseason, guys who we thought would be targets for Andrew Berry in the offseason. And we basically all of our free agent signings were on this list. So he had a good, because he understands the cap and what we're going to do and what the deals will look like. So I would if you're a Browns fan, give him a follow to understand certainly that business side of it, because what we're doing is cutting edge. And really the teams that do it the most are us and the Eagles. So it's no surprise that I think it's one of the things that AB probably picked up from Philly and brought back here, and we're being very aggressive in implementing it. And again, it's kudos to him and Chris Cooper and that whole team, and also kudos to our ownership group. And I talked with the chief today, so the chief was the one most recent to do it, and I said, just kind of like, how did it come? He goes, it's easy for me because it doesn't change anything for me except that I get some cash sooner. So great. Yeah, sure, I'll restructure it. But that doesn't happen, as I said, without our owners being willing to go into their pockets to do it.
Absolutely. We'll go around the league coming up next. Training camp practice today moved inside, so the traditional training camp with fans has been canceled. There will be a practice, but it'll be indoors, and that's obviously a very, very different practice than the one that would have been done outdoors. So much more to come on that. We go around the league coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. For a team of injury lawyers dedicated to every client every day, call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. We had Hard Knocks episode 3 last night.
Yes.
Which I watched most of.
I watched the beginning of it.
First 40 minutes, 30 minutes
It's a late.
or so.
I wish. Why isn't it just on?
I wish it was 9. We're getting old, dude. I was thinking about this. Like, I hit 10 o'clock last night, and I'm like, I'm gassed.
See, I'm fine, but like, sweet Miss K is working her butt off, the angel of AdCom, and she's like,
she
wants it, and like, she can't sleep if I'm in bed and I have like it on like quietly, like just the light of it. She just can't.
When Aim was pregnant with the boys, I had a Bluetooth headset that I would watch TV on while she slept.
Genius.
That kind of got around that a little bit, but yeah, no. I mean, it's hard to sleep. For me, it's hard to sleep with like a TV on.
Totally,
I can't do it. I need it.
And Hard Knocks is now shot in all these crazy cameras. And it's so bright, and
it's an incredible access to Aaron Rodgers.
This is okay.
It's basically it's the quarterback Aaron Rodgers co-starring the Jets.
It's incredible,
featuring the New York Jets,
and whether it all feels awful genuine, but the reactions, if you read, like, I follow a bunch of people who cover the Packers, they're just like, this is so absurd. Like,
really?
it is
so like
just the
this
most
isn't
absurd
his normal behavior?
PR. Like, he's
Sports
basically
washing.
using Hard Knocks to completely rehabilitate his image.
Working.
I mean, it's working. He seems so likable. Seems great.
Like, I'd love to hang out with this guy. Do
He
some
seems
ayahuasca.
great.
Feels like a win. So I had Rich Cimini on this morning, and we were from ESPN on the Jets, and we were talking about the Jets and the East and everything. And I was talking to him about Rodgers, and he said, I've covered the Jets for a long time. I always knew what quarterback play wasn't supposed to look like.
Yep.
I didn't know what it was supposed to look like. Now I do.
Yep.
And he said it was such a contrast just how easy everything is with an elite quarterback that never misses compared to the struggles of guys trying to find their way. Like,
of course,
Rodgers, even at this age, at 38, it still has the fastball. He still has complete command. And essentially, much like it's my favorite analogy was always more the Manning one than the Brady one. But in talking to Rich, it seems like that the bigger one, it's even easier for Rodgers because it is his offense. They are running the Packers offense.
Totally. Yes. 100%.
So he's not even marrying offenses. This is his offense that they have installed in New York.
Yes.
And as you saw in the episode last night, like very clearly Randall Cobb is there just to coach the young cats about where they need to be. Like that's why he's on that roster. At one point he says, we keep this up 8 he's going to blow because we're not being as precise as we need to be. I thought it was great. I thought the most, for those of you who have Garrett Wilson in your Dynasty Keeper leagues, that was pretty good when he's talking to the player from Tampa Bay and they're like, what about 17? And he just shook his head and he's like, he's a real deal.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got it. That's the one. So he said Garrett Wilson's electric, uncoverable, all the things.
He's going to be awesome. He's going to be
he goes,
Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson.
They had 1,100 yards receiving last year with Zach Wilson and Joe Flacco.
Right.
So, yeah, with Aaron Rodgers, it'll be pretty good.
It's going to be just fine.
The other thing that was out yesterday was the first episode of the Florida doc. It went – I had no patience for it, despite having a couple of friends who are in it. It's just sports washing.
I heard
That's
was
all it is. It's just
awful.
like the Johnny doc. It's almost like there's a target audience for sports documentaries that I think is hardcore sports fans.
Yeah.
But these two recent ones, the Johnny one and this one, it's almost like they ignored that audience and went as if you've never heard of anything that happened at Florida. And here's my view of what happened at Florida through the prism of Urban.
Well, and it's one of the reasons I think probably Joe Hayden declined to be a part of it. So somebody listed the missing storylines in Swamp Kings.
Let me see if I can get it before you even go, just based on what I saw.
Hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They have 10.
All right,
10 missing storylines.
All right, so the Pounceys are pretty much non-existent in what I saw yesterday.
That's one.
They did next to nothing on Aaron Hernandez.
2.
I could not believe they didn't mention Cam Newton.
3.
Cam Newton was on campus, stole a laptop, thrown out.
That's how he ends up at Auburn.
Correct, after going to a junior college.
Right.
The idea that Urban recruited Cam in the class after Tebow is one of the greatest recruiting jobs in the history.
All right, so you got 3 for 3.
I don't think there's any Zach Smith stuff.
4.
Which he would have been a part of that. Chris Rainey was a running back who I'm pretty sure threatened his girlfriend.
That was not listed here.
They also had Carlos Dunlop was
5.
arrested before the
DUI before the 2009 SEC championship. That's on here.
Dunlop.
They've got
Do they anything about the urban panic attack, like the heart
Urban's
attack?
quote unquote heart attack? That's 6. Okay, yep.
No, I don't. I didn't. Okay. Do they address the fact that he coached the next year? Like 2010, he's still at Florida, and they fall on their face after Tebow
They don't
left?
really talk about that. So the other ones they have are
Give me the
Riley
rest.
Cooper.
Oh.
2009 Sugar Bowl week.
Riley Cooper, the only defense I'll give to that is Riley Cooper, most people know him because of what he said about Michael Vick when he was with the Eagles.
Yeah.
I don't recall anything with Cooper at Florida that there were red flags.
Okay.
So maybe I missed it.
Maybe
it's
yeah.
possible, but I don't
So it
recall
says
that.
2009 Sugar Bowl week, which I'm not sure what that means.
So that's the urban retirement, not retirement.
Got it.
Yeah.
It says some Urban's wife and kids in Gainesville.
Yeah.
Whatever that means, and then life after Tebow. So those are the
Yeah.
missing storylines there. So you pretty much nailed them right.
I mean, I was.
But how do you not cover Aaron Hernandez or the Pouncey twins or Cam Newton? I mean, that
when
seems
it was
crazy.
announced, I said this has the potential to be the best of any sports.
If they
stocks,
do it.
if they do it,
Yeah.
If you do the Real's Truth, you're going to get because
A
it's
lot.
got all of this stuff.
Yep.
I mean, he put Tebow as the roommate of Hernandez.
It's crazy
At Florida to try to straighten him.
Straighten him out. Yeah.
Nuts.
No,
the only thing
doesn't
that was great, like Tebow took the blame for a bar fight that was the only real mention I saw of Hernandez was Tebow took like blame for a bar fight that Hernandez got into at Florida.
Well, even in the Aaron Hernandez documentary, there was stuff about what happened in Florida where there was like guns and
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
got shot outside of a nightclub and
That
like
was always
Lauderdale.
rumored.
Yeah.
That was always rumored that it was there. The Raiders not interested in trading running back Josh Jacobs. He has
No, of
not
course
signed his
not.
tender, and no deal is imminent to get him back.
Because nobody's going to
Yeah.
give you what you want, quote unquote, want for a running back that you're not paying at the level of what you want. Like running backs are in a tough spot. Like no doubt about it.
Sucks. It does suck for them, but it's just the reality, of the,
just the
business.
reality of the
I saw
business.
Jarrah this morning saying that, that they kick the tires on everything, but he doesn't. He wants to see how his running backs are. He's not interested in
Tony Pollard's time.
in Jonathan Taylor. I do think that he is the type of guy that would take Taylor at discount. Like I could see
Of
him
course,
doing
I
a
could
move
see
like
that.
that.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that.
I could
for
see
sure.
him doing that. Taylor was at camp, by the way.
Yeah, he's gonna play.
Got to play.
He has no
He's got to
choice.
do it.
He has no choice.
Yeah. Did you see the Chris Jones stuff this morning as well?
Is he back?
He's willing to sit till week 8.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, he's willing to sit till week 8. Andy Reid was available this morning, and he basically said life goes on.
Yep.
Sort
That's
it
what they'll
out.
do.
That's
That's
how
what
that
they'll
goes.
do.
All right, coming up next, Deshaun Watson at the podium. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. The field design for 2023. Vote on the final two logos to decide what design will be featured at midfield at Cleveland Browns Stadium. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/fieldvote to cast your vote today. We do have some news out of camp. As I mentioned, it's moved indoors. They're practicing in the indoor facility right now, and everybody on the beat reporting Grant Delpit down on the ground with an injury. Among those saying that he's walking off the field while favoring his right arm that is hanging by his side. So this was a collision away from the ball with Jalen Wayne, according to Zach Jackson.
Yeah, unfortunate for Grant Delpit and the Browns. You hope that he's okay. The good news is, right, that it's not leg after a collision that he's walking off, and it is the shoulder, and you hope that he's able to be back quickly after that. But you don't want to see that. Grant Delpit, I think, poised for a monster season for this football team. The good news is that you have an incredible third safety right now in Rodney McLeod, who was a full-time starter last year and played at a high level. Pro Football Focus is like a top 5 safety overall for Indianapolis. So you want Grant to get back there as soon as possible. The good news is you know that you've got depth at that safety room to at least execute your basic 2 safety defenses. I don't know that you'd go into much of your 3 safety packages if you didn't have Grant Delpit, but hopefully he will be okay for week 1, and hopefully we'll get an update for that soon. I think the fact that he walked off his under power is pretty good.
It's hard to know off of
a still image.
Yeah, but he's not being like carted off. He's not on any.
Let me see that one again. And it's not like it's held here where you'd think like collarbone, which would be a longer term thing. So hopefully he's okay and just got maybe a stinger in that shoulder.
All right. So there's the update of what is going on the field right now. Before practice, before all the rain set in, Deshaun Watson was at the podium. Let's have a listen.
You're down. That you will be playing some in Kansas City. So how do you feel about getting out there and getting your feet wet again a little bit?
I'm excited. I'm excited to get out there with the guys to kind of get my routine going, to prep up for the season, and just go out there and compete. That's the ultimate goal, is to compete and go out there and try to, help the team, whatever I can do to have, successful drives and put points on the board.
What do you think is the most important thing you and the offense have gotten done these last couple of weeks from Washington to Philly into this week?
I think the biggest thing, just keep adding on. Keep taking a step each and every day, because we know we're not all the way there yet, and we shouldn't be. There's a lot of, different small details of the offense that we want to continue to work on with different looks, especially with a good Philly defense and a good Washington defense. And then, with our own defense. So we're seeing 3 different schemes, and if you want to include the Jets early on. So 3 or 4 different schemes that is going to help us out, and that's that's the beauty of it.
Deshaun, talk to Kevin about what he to see from first. He always says just clean operation, and that's kind of bad. So beyond the clean operation, what are you, as you go into this in these 20-25 snaps, aiming to get out of them and accomplish?
That's the biggest thing. Not going out there and doing too much. Just real smooth, clean. Like Kevin said, ultimately that's the biggest goal. If you can do that and just go out there and be sharp and then execute the game plan and just follow your reads and follow your footwork, then, everything else is going to take care of itself. So not even just for the preseason games, but for the regular season games. That's what you want to go into each and every week with the clean, smooth operation. And if you can do that, everything else is going to take care of itself.
Deshaun, when you went back and looked at the film from the 2 days of Philly, what was your kind of self-assessment of your performance? What was sort of your takeaways of what you saw when you kind of watched what you did on the field?
It was great as a whole. It was Super Bowl runner-ups, the NFC champs. There wasn't a team out there, or a guy out there that wasn't playing, in that Super Bowl last year for them. So, it was a great work for myself. It was a great work for the team. We went back and forth. We competed well. We took care of one another, and we focused on that. And you got to give props to Philly and their staff for being on the same page with Kevin and us. And it was a great 2 or 3 days for us.
You spent a lot of time trying to form chemistry with the guys who are going to be out there with you. What do you make of it when you see a guy like Watkins just walking in here and making plays with guys he's never known before?
It's great to see it. He's hungry for his opportunity. He's came in, he's learned from all the other receivers, Coop, Elijah, DPJ. He's been a great addition. He's been a great teammate, great person. So everyone likes him, especially in that receiver room. You see everyone hanging out with him. Then as an offense, he's always hanging out, saying what's up to everyone. So, he's been a great addition to this team, and we got to keep rolling, and he's going to continue to just keep growing and get better.
Deshaun, you said that you're not quite where you want to be yet, and you shouldn't be at this point. So my question is, how much longer will it take to do that? And so when do you think this offense will be like 100% where you want to be for?
I feel like this offense it's hard to say that you'll be 100% in the NFL, because every week is evolving. You got to add new pieces, new wrinkles, go against a new defensive scheme. There's ups and downs. So, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you guys, give you a timeline where we'll be 100. I'm not sure whether this offense will be 100. I'm not sure if any team in the NFL will actually be 100% and clicking, because if you're doing that, then you should be undefeated. So that's how I see it. There's always room to improve. There's always room to get better each and every week and starting fresh. And that's the mentality that we got to have, is just keep trying to get better each and every day.
When you did that interview during the game the other night, you talked about taking some of the wear and tear off of Nick. Do you feel like now with more kind of the onus on you, do you feel like you have ownership of this offense now?
Most definitely. AVP and Kevin gave me the keys, and they're letting me control a lot of things that we do on the field, along with them, play calling in the headset and being able to see things that I can check out too. So, but that comes over time. Me understanding this offense, understanding what they want to do and what schemes that we want to do in the run game and the passing game, and then just being able to build that trust and build that ownership of taking control of the offense and being on the field and being that coach and player at the same time. So, all that stuff is just keep stacking and building that trust, and we have another opportunity this weekend to continue to build that.
If you end up playing 20 snaps in Kansas City, that would be about 30 for you in the 2 preseason games. Is that more or less the same of what you did in Houston those years?
It's about the same. It actually might be more than Houston, if I'm really thinking. In Houston, I probably played 1 game, maybe a drive, maybe 2 drives, but I didn't really play too much preseason in Houston.
Hey, Deshaun, last year was your first taste of the AFC North. I think you played all 3 opponents. What were your initial thoughts?
It's good. It's a tough to fit. Ooh, this is off balance a little bit. It's a tough division, and you got 3 teams, including us. If you want to say 4 teams that have a lot of talent. It's very coach hard. It's very tough, physical, and you got to go out there and make plays. And the mental errors and the small things that you can kind of let up in certain games, you can't do that in this division. So it's very, very tight, and we want to go out there and try to go win it.
There are 3 elite quarterbacks and obviously another rising one. Does that drive you when you have guys in your division that are
not so much. I'm self-driven. I want to be the best I can be for Deshaun Watson. I can't get caught up in, the other guys and seeing what they're doing, and all of them are elite. If you're a starting quarterback in this league, you're pretty elite. This is a hard business. This is a hard job to have, and it's only 32 spots. So out of the whole world. So I feel like everyone is elite, and I got to be self-driven to be the best Deshaun Watson I can be for this team and for myself.
Deshaun, can you talk about Patrick Mahomes? I'm sure you guys are probably pretty good friends, same draft class and all that kind of stuff. What makes Patrick so special? And I know you've talked about how people here really haven't seen anything of you yet, that you can do so many of the same kinds of things that Patrick does. What are those things?
Yeah, just the playmaking skills, the leadership, the work ethic. You've seen it all. He wins 2 Super Bowls for a reason. He could have won 3 or 4 of them, and it's just special. And, with the staff that they have over there and the guy that he's been, with Andy Reid coaching Patrick Mahomes, that's a pretty good combination to have, and he's been taking that team, taking the organization to higher and higher heights, and he's doing a hell of a job, and you got to give him credit. You got to nothing but salute to him and what he's been doing and what he's going to continue to do, and he just make everyone else around him better. So he's definitely the standard for the NFL, and we just got to continue to just keep building that up, especially being in the 2017 draft class together. I think he was the 10th pick, I was the 12th, so both of us have a lot to prove, and we want to continue to just show that we one of the top us 2 classes that we've been drafted. So that's the plan.
Do you watch some of his film film? I know he might watch some of your film too, but I mean, do you guys trade thoughts or ideas, or do you really look at Patrick's games a lot and think, I'm going to do some of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's not so much of, hey, I want to do that stuff or kind of do that stuff. It's just mostly just kind of like, I watch all the quarterbacks, not just Patrick, not just Lamar, not just Joe, but, the young guys, the guys, Jimmy Garoppolo, Kirk Cousins. I mean, I watch everyone. I just like watching football and what quarterback's doing because everyone is special. Like I said before, it's elite to be one of the 32 quarterbacks in this league, and it's special. And you got to have some type of talent, regardless of what other people are saying. So I watch everyone, and of course, Pat. You see him playing the big-time game, so you just kind of naturally just watch him and watch his game. But for me, I like to watch everyone and whatever I can do to learn from everyone. So, when I see him, when we talk, we chop it up a little bit and learn from each other and just, check on each other. But, me and Pat relationship go all the way back from early on in college training in California. So, we've always had a long relationship and want to be in this position.
Deshaun, I thought you ran it 3 times against Washington, if my memory serves me correctly. It's preseason. How do you weigh the risk reward of that, or is that something you need to do in the preseason to get yourself ready for the regular season?
No, I can't go out there. When I step on the football field, I don't think about if I should run or not should run just because it's preseason. When you're out there, you're competing. Everyone's competing for a job. Everyone's competing to be successful. So when I'm out there, I just let my instincts take over, and I'm not trying to win the Super Bowl, but at the same time, I want to go out there and compete and be successful for the team.
So when you talk about being self-motivated, do you pay attention to how people have you ranked before the preseason, and if you're not included in the same top-tier discussion as Pat, Josh, and Joe and those guys?
Not at all. I mean, I stay focused on what I got to do and control what I can control. The rankings, there's always a rankings each and every year. So at the end of the day, you can't focus on that because there's always that ranking is always changing. And for me, I missed 2 years of football, so I shouldn't be in those rankings, to be honest. If you're asking me, I haven't played enough football the last 2 years to even be up there. So I got to go out there and prove and show what I got to do and to get back in those conversations. But for me, I just lock in on what I need to lock in on and just focus on my tasks, and everything else will take care of itself.
This has been a long training camp calendar-wise because of the extra game and all. Does it feel like it's been long to you? And how do you think it's been managed with all these road trips you guys have been on?
I haven't really felt too long. I just kind of, once you get in training camp as a player, you kind of just day to day. You're taking one day at a time. You don't look forward. You don't look backwards. You just focus on where you at and where your feet is on that day. And I think for us, being able to go on the road to Greenbrier and Philly has been awesome to build the team, the team bonding, to kind of get to know everyone and just, test us mentally. Not being comfortable sitting in our homes and on our, facility, being able to go somewhere different and be able to manage and still put in the same work. So it's been good.
Deshaun, a lot was made of that day 2 in Philly. A lot was written and said. You threw a couple picks in that practice, and on social media you took a lot of heat for that practice. What do you make of that? And I saw you kind of reacted to someone's post of your stats and stuff like that. So what do you think of the heavy criticism that you're getting and the scrutiny that you're getting even over practice?
I don't get too involved in it. The response on there wasn't about the stats or anything like that. It's about knowing the situations, and some of the situations, the media, you guys, no offense, but you guys just don't know what we're working on. Not every period is just hey, go out there and compete. It's open field. Some periods it's 3rd and 4th down, so we got to take our chances. Some period is the end of game situation. Some period is one-on-one. So on both sides, not just me and being on the offense, but on the defense, you gotta give them credit too, because a lot of times they don't usually have safety help over top as a corner, and sometimes they don't because it depends on what we're working on. So I don't really get caught up in that. That's the only reason why I responded. It was nothing towards Philly or anybody in the media. It was just just understand the situation of what we're working on when you have joint practices. And then with the criticism and stuff like that, like I said before, I don't get involved in that. I guess you must be pretty good if you're having some type of criticism. So you always got to have those those thoughts and negativities to keep you motivated.
Back in 30.
keep trying to be better. So that's the biggest thing for me.
Hey, was there at least last one? Was there a little piece of you that wished Lamar left the division?
I mean, nah. I mean, I don't even know how to respond to that. It's going to make the games against Baltimore even more fun and competitive. I played against him when he was in Louisville, so that was a fun match. I know everyone saw that, so we want to continue to just do that and compete and try to.
You're up.
All right, a lot there from Deshaun Watson. We'll break down some of his comments. Plus, we've had a look at the Delpit video from practice. We'll kind of give you a play-by-play of what happened on that play coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. To celebrate the 18th Cleveland Brown being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Tide Cleaners offering incredible offer, $8 off any order of 18 or more. Just mention Browns at drop-off. Tide Cleaners, your one-stop shop for all dry cleaning and laundry service needs. Visit TideCleaners.com to find the location nearest you. Some exclusions may apply. See store for details. We've seen this video of the Grant Delpit collision that led to him being down on the ground and then walking off with his own power, according to reports favoring his right side. Z, it's just he's playing deep safety. He comes over, he's following the tight end. It's just a straight-on collision with the receiver running the route. 31?
Jalen Wayne.
So it's just a straight collision with Jalen Wayne.
He's running a post. Grant's coming, takes, as you said, taking the tight end across field. Didn't see him, and they just ran into each other at full speed and Hopefully it's okay. Loud collision, obviously, when guys are in pads and they hit each other that hard, and you hope that he's okay. Maybe the wind got knocked out of him or he's going to have a big bruise. But I think, knock on wood, hopefully the Browns avoided something serious there. And the good news is it wasn't like knee into knee that caused something with the lower extremities.
And again, not Dr. Ruiz to pretend to be, but just from the standpoint of the look of it, there isn't anything like favoring one side or limb that would lead you to believe that it's like shoulder, collarbone. It just looks like a straight-on collision.
Yep.
Is what it looks like in the video.
Yep.
All right, you had Deshaun Watson at the podium, and one of the things he discussed was AVP and Coach Stefanski giving him the keys to the offense, and him having a very big input on what this offense is. If you were to describe what we want to be offensively to our fans based on a month of practice and all of the intel that you have, how would you describe it?
We haven't really seen it, I think, is the truth. I think that we have not really seen a ton of the things that this Cleveland Browns offense is going to be. I will say that I believe I like, the comment that they've turned it over to him. You made the point earlier, and nonchalantly talking about Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. You're like, well, he's just running his offense.
Yeah.
But when you have the quarterback that you believe is the engine, and we know that is what makes it go in the National Football League, you cater to that quarterback and their strengths.
Yeah.
And do what they are comfortable doing. And because the last time he played a full season doing that, he led the NFL in passing. He's got the second highest completion percentage of all time behind only Drew Brees. He's supremely talented. So you want to get him in the best position. So what we will see, just generally speaking, we're going to see more 11 personnel. That's why you go out and you get Elijah Moore, you draft Cedric Tillman, you bring in Marquise Goodwin, who, knock on wood, hopefully is okay for the Cleveland Browns. You are going to see him in shotgun more, in pistol more, using his mobility, using misdirection, using read option, getting him involved in the run game, having some designed quarterback runs to take advantage of his athleticism. We are not going to be, in the past, it felt like we were either under center or when we were in shotgun, we were in empty. And we'll still do a lot of empty because it's a good way when you motion that running back out to get a tell from the defense, an idea of what the defense is doing. But now we're going to do some more just pure drop back passing. Like we're going to line up in shotgun and we're going to pass football. We're still going to have a lot of pre-snap motion. A lot of the things, the zone, the running game, the pin pulls, all of that's still going to be very much the same. You're just going to see an offense that's going to be more predicated on throwing the football. And I think one of the criticisms I've heard so far about Deshaun is that, he's not throwing the football down the field enough. We want to see him throw the ball down the field more.
Did you just see the video from 10 minutes ago? Real quick, just interject.
No.
Just threw a dot 50 yards on the screws to Elijah Moore.
He can do that.
Nailed it for a touchdown.
I love it. I love to see that. Yeah. It stinks that we're not able to see this live for you and give you those things, but good job right there by you. What I want to say is the big thing when you talked about coaches last year and when you talked about, to people, quarterback evaluators last year about those final 6 games, is the one thing he wasn't doing was letting the layups be layups. Mm-hmm. He would hold the ball instead of taking that easy 5-7. And I think that's one of the things that they're really working on and that he really worked on. And so you're seeing a lot more of that. If I have the automatic 7 yards, I'm going to do that. He's going to get plenty of chances to make plays out of structure down the field and also throw the ball in structure down the field. We've seen it in every preseason game with our other quarterbacks. Like there are plays in this offense that will get the ball down the field, and he's elite at it. And you saw a bunch of plays more than 15 yards in the air in those joint practices against the Eagles. So I think part of it is him getting into the rhythm of, I've got such talent around me that sometimes it makes sense to just get the ball in the hands of playmakers. So I think you'll just see, like I said, a more varied passing game, more down the field, more just good throws, 10 to 19 yards in the air, and then take advantage of his athleticism. But I like that. That's what it should be.
You are not going to have to scheme up makeable throws with this guy.
No, but you will.
Yes, you will, but you don't have to. In the previous incarnations of quarterback, since I've been around here, we would have to scheme up throws, successful throws.
Yes.
You don't have to do that with this guy. You want to put him in the best position to succeed, but he can hit at any point on the field at any point he wants.
Yep.
He has that type of arm talent. He has that type of preparedness, anticipation, touch, all of that. It's very similar to what I was describing with Rodgers with the Jets. Like, you don't know it until you see it, and then you go, oh, okay. And even last year in the 6 games, and you and I talked about this a lot last year, there was a moment in every game where you went, okay, there we go. That's what that's supposed to be. And that's what that's supposed to look like. It's going to be so different for him this year from last year for a billion reasons. But the biggest difference is your quarterback, as opposed to being someone who, let's make sure we put him in the best position to succeed, your quarterback is now a game wrecker.
He is the position to succeed.
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
It's
good. I think it's going to be fun to watch, and I think that people are going to see. And it's not about tricks, and we are very effective trick play offense in the past.
I think because we had to be.
And I'm not saying I don't think it's going to be gimmicky, but I said you're just going to see a lot of things. Part of it's like Elijah Moore in the backfield. A lot of things to take advantages of the personnel that we have. We haven't seen Nick Chubb unleashed. That's going to look like, and he's just the best running back in the NFL. I think people are making a lot over a little as it relates to our offense right now. This offense is supposed to get going September the 10th, and I'm not saying it isn't going now because he's had some great days, especially recently in camp. But they're not showing everything. Mm-hmm. Like, the public is out here later than ever, and I think in some ways that's probably a little frustrating because there's probably stuff that they'd like to be getting in this week that they have maybe not been able to get in as much. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe today they'll take advantage of being indoors and it's just limited in terms of who's in there. But that real work's going to begin next week. You're going to have 2 weeks to really get into that stuff. Not to say that they haven't done it from a conceptual standpoint and they haven't walked through a lot of this stuff, but you're going to start to get those reps really going and gear you up for that September the 10th game.
Well said, sir. Do a little better or worse, higher or lower coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. For nearly a century, the Rumpke family operated one of the largest waste and recycling companies, providing top-level services to residential and commercial customers. That's Rumpke Waste and Recycling. Visit rumpke.com to learn more. Time for a little higher lower, presented by Keep It Fun Ohio from the Ohio Lottery, who reminds you to set time and spending limits while you gamble. Hello, Gibby.
Hi, gentlemen.
Hey, buddy.
I need to apologize. In looking at things, I think I'm the one that screwed up your eardrums earlier today.
Oh God!
Sad.
Well,
sad.
Whoa!
I will mention your name specifically in my class action lawsuit against the Cleveland Browns.
I have no money to give, so don't bother coming to me.
I'm not suing you.
He's not suing you.
Just mentioning you specifically is that now we have a culprit.
Does he sound really low to you?
He seems okay right now, but it's possible. I only have 50% hearing at this point.
Check.
So
How about now?
Yeah,
you sound fine.
How about now?
Sure.
It's possible.
Hey.
It's possible.
Hey. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
I'm like, what was that? And I'm like,
were you testing? Is that what you're doing? I'll tell you this, Gibby. From an audible standpoint, nothing has ever been louder in my ear.
It was like
ever.
you were
like rock concerts, nothing.
I'm looking at you guys. I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about.
I was like row 3 for Motley Crue in like '96.
Yeah, with
pretty
the speaker
great,
in
by
your
the
ear.
way. If you got tickets for that shit,
I did. We were there. It was Billings Metra. Yeah,
Billings.
The
Metro.
Billings Metra Park. Seeking 19. No, it might have been more like 98.
Nonetheless, my apologies as I'm going through this.
Dr.
and figuring
Feelgood
this
still
out.
slaps.
Like there are pieces that don't. We have kind of put this together, and if you touch this one cable, it could all go
That's
bad
it?
again.
Yeah.
So
all right. Well, we
we're
won't
gonna
touch
try
anything.
not to touch
You're
that.
Safe. You're safe, pal.
So, let's get to it. A little higher or lower, presented by Keep It Fun Ohio from the Ohio Lottery, who reminds you to set time and spending limits when gambling. Found this last night. I said, this is it for this week's higher
I
or
love
lower.
it. I love this one. Hey, real
This
quick
is
before
great.
we get to the higher lower, Jason asking us, he's headed to Pittsburgh this weekend for a bachelor party. He's going to hit up a golf course Saturday on the way out to Pittsburgh. So somewhere between here and Pittsburgh.
Oh,
Any
it's a no-brainer.
suggestions?
I mean,
That's
Boulder
Boulder
Creek's
Creek's
Yeah.
the winner, right? That's,
Yeah.
depending on where he's
Close
driving
here,
from, that's
yeah.
the winner.
For sure.
Hands down.
What about like Oakmont? Where's Oakmont at?
I'm guessing that's a tough get on a Saturday in August.
I don't think you're just walking on.
Hey, I've got a bachelor party. You got any available tea times? Oh, sure, Bobby.
Whatever you do, don't lead with "I've got a bachelor party."
I've played.
I've
there.
got a
You
list
play-
of
you guys
clients.
have played Oakmont, right?
I have not.
No.
It's not built for me.
Tough.
Oh, Jesus. Played with a Callaway rep 15 years ago over there. Not for me. Not for me. It wasn't fun. Got a cool hat out of it, though.
All right. I mean, that's.
They have a great logo. Squirrel's great, and then their OCC's great. They haven't.
I would have loved a hat from the course we played at the Greenbrier, but they didn't make those not for the course I played.
For Meadows?
No, they had the old white hats there.
White hat.
Yeah, but I didn't play that.
Yeah.
It's one of those. I'm like, I didn't play it.
Yeah. I've also noticed I have an old white hat, and I also noticed that it's always a tricky wear
Yes.
because you have to be ready to explain.
Yep.
Kind of.
Yeah, it's not the best look.
All right.
Rugby team.
That's right. Yeah.
So this is from The Athletic. It started 3 years ago, and the NFL has 30 stadiums for its 32 teams. The Athletic's NFL writers, again, rank their top 5 and bottom 5 in order. So top and bottom. At the time of the previous ranking, SoFi and Allegiant in Vegas were not included. They opened in 2020. Here are the updated rankings. Yes, Mr. Bishop.
I think it's important to point out to our audience that this is from the perspective of the writers.
Yes.
So what they're thinking about press boxes, they're thinking about amenities, they're talking about probably climate control, they're talking about.
I will say this: they do have they list every stadium's Google review.
Okay.
So it is a little bit of the fan experience as well.
Okay. All right. Very good.
It also, an important note, every reporter who participated in the survey has not been to every stadium.
That's okay.
But that's why
think
they
that's
wanted the
okay.
top 5 and the bottom 5.
You two have both been to every one, right? Is there anything you guys haven't been?
For a football game, I have not been to Jerry World
been to Vegas.
or the New Vegas one.
That's it.
Okay, New Vegas for you.
But we went to Oakland. Well, some of us went to Oakland. Neither here nor there.
Neither here nor there. The old Oakland.
Yes.
But you have not seen a game in...
Two things. Absolutely ridiculously unnecessary comment. Second, I grew up there, so I've been in that stadium a billion
times. Including for the World Series, sir.
In 1988, 89, and 90.
That's right.
I'm
that's
just
right.
glad that you're with us because I wasn't sure if you were paying attention
just
or
testing
not.
your testing
your
if you're paying attention.
Your nose has been down in your little copious notes that you're putting
tell you
together for
something.
Saturday's game.
Let me tell you something, brother. It's all locked in.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're with us.
All right, go ahead.
Let's go, Paulus.
Higher or lower?
Number one, I don't think it's an argument. U.S. Bank Stadium, home of the Minnesota Vikings.
It's the best.
It's the
period.
best.
There's a reason it says the opening line wasn't even close. Half the voters placed it number one in their rankings. Duh. It is unbelievable. It's perfect.
If you are building a stadium in this country, in the northern hemisphere, and it's not the northern part of this country, and it's not that, then you did it wrong.
It should be the
what,
model.
It's the model.
Yes.
It's what Buffalo should build. It's like their variation of it. I don't say if not. Obviously, theirs is specific to Vikings and all that, but like it is what you build. This is what Tennessee should build. Theirs looks like it's going to be cool, but that's what they should build. It's what Buffalo should build. If we build a stadium, we should build it. That's the
100%.
stadium.
Here's what the Vikings reporter Alec Lewis said, and quote, "But the stadium in general is the perfect representation of what an indoor arena should look and feel like on a Sunday." Yep.
Crushed it.
Yep. They did.
100%.
Next.
Yep.
Higher or lower?
Number 2 is SoFi Stadium. Number 3, the great
Okay,
and
hold
this
here, Swaglish, this doesn't even hold a candle to yesterday. Yesterday came in shades. We were robbed of the shades due to the weather. Yesterday was on a whole nother level.
Really?
Like yesterday was like I just stepped off of my PJ. I've been driven here, and I'm
that pleases
taking
me.
over the world.
That pleases me a great deal.
Yeah.
Number
so
3
2 was SoFi.
Number 2 was SoFi. Number 3, historic Lambeau Field. Bo Bishop, higher, lower, or just right for Lambeau?
Well, I think the bigger beef is probably with SoFi. I don't know that is it worthy of 2?
It's not.
Like it's better than Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta? Is
Yes.
it better than Jerry World?
I have not been to Jerry World.
Yes.
It's
both.
better than Jerry World? Okay.
Both.
You've been I have not.
Okay, so I did not have, when we went and played there and I was on the sidelines, I did not have the same appreciation as for when I went to it at WrestleMania and I was in one of their suites.
Yeah.
They're the nicest suites. Like, other suites and other sports stadiums seem like laughable compared to how good it is in SoFi. So I think if you're going there and you're going for it, and you have you're going to have a premium level experience, I don't know that it can be beaten, to be perfectly honest with you.
Okay.
That suite, the food, the view, the seats that you get in your suite, and we weren't even in the bottom suites. We were like in the middle of the stadium. It was unbelievable. From that standpoint, also much easier to get around than I thought when I was trying to get around from down to up to them for the press box and all that was nightmarish.
Well, they didn't build
But
it for you.
They
built it for the suites.
As a person coming to spend their dollar to see entertainment, the video board, I don't know that honest to God, if it weren't for Minnesota, it would be my number one.
Okay. So that's different song than because the last time we had talked
Totally
about this,
different
you were
experience
from
I
your
had.
perspective.
Now,
so back to Lambeau.
It's funny, by the way, if you talk to a number of the employees that work at that stadium, like behind the scenes,
Yeah.
they call it a $6 billion
Well, greenhouse, right? Because it's open air, like,
and you can do the rest.
well, also at the College Football National Championship game, it was raining sideways into it, and
Yes.
they had the rains there 2 days ago, and it was raining into it because they don't have walls, correct? So it is a sense of greenhouse. All right, so Lambeau,
4.8 on the Google review.
All right, so I think what I think is really interesting here, and you guys have been to both. I've been to Arrowhead. I've not been to Lambeau. Those are the two, and they're different. One is just the impressiveness of Arrowhead. My perception is one is the nostalgia of Lambeau. I guess it's really for me. Lambeau feels like Wrigley Field. Like you go there and you wake up the echoes, the hallowed ground. There's it's an experience. So like comparing Lambeau to me, like comparing Lambeau to Jerry World, I don't know how you can do that because those are so different.
It's apples and tacos, brother.
Yeah.
I'll say this.
And
though,
by the way,
I don't.
if you don't
I'm sure
like
it's
taco,
awesome.
if you
I don't
like
feel
Taco
like there's a
Tuesday,
bad
get
seat
bent.
at Lambeau.
Sorry, I have
agree.
to say it.
Kick rocks.
I have to say it.
Kick rocks, Alpha.
I have to say it.
No, so it's hard. I would say lower because it doesn't have nostalgia for me because I'm not a Packers fan.
So
it's a pretty cool experience.
I'm sure
it's cool. I've been there on the sidelines. I've also been there up in a booth for that Christmas game alone.
I know.
It's so old that it can't possibly compare with the niceties of these other stadiums. But it is cool when you look up around the stadium and you look at the scoreboard and all. Like, it is cool. There's
like
a lot of
Wrigley.
it that's very, very cool.
I'm sure it's like Wrigley or Fenway.
Yeah, a classic.
Yeah.
Look at him getting this power snack in the afternoon. I mean, just what are we doing?
What's he got?
It's a shame that he was. Oh my God, he's got a little PB&J,
Oh, geez.
some
Little
nourishment,
taste.
some sustenance.
Just keep it
yeah,
moving.
Look at him growing the muscles, the
pythons
protein in there.
Yeah,
the shoe
crushing
again.
it.
Look at how white.
Shoe
clean
game
the
ends
white
in an
bottom.
A. White's new pair every time.
Every time.
Next,
Higher or lower?
number 4, AT&T Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys.
So like I would move just. I don't know if we ever gave better or worse. Lambeau is worse than that. It's at the top of like when we get out of places that have it all. To me.
So is it higher than? Okay, so this leads to where you're going right now. Go ahead, do your thing.
Yep. Number 4 is home of the Cowboys. Number 5, home of the Seattle Seahawks, Lumen Field, new sponsor for them, obviously.
Yeah.
And number 6, Arrowhead Stadium,
Okay.
home of the Kansas City Chiefs.
So what you have there is you have a renovated relic in Lambeau.
Yep.
You have a relatively modern outdoor built for noise retention in Seattle.
Yep.
And then you have a big old stadium in Arrowhead that's real loud. How do you guys rank those three? Like, because I agree with you. Those are different than Jerry World.
Yeah. Like, if you're going to go let's go, are you almost going just outdoor stadiums?
Well, I'm going outdoor specific attributes stadiums. Because, for example, like my favorite outdoor stadium in the league that I've been to is Baltimore.
I was going to say Baltimore. That's why I asked that question. I was going to introduce Baltimore into the mix.
Okay, so that's my favorite
I would
outdoor
put Baltimore
stadium.
ahead of all of these.
Yeah,
okay, but
I would too.
But Baltimore does not have, I think we can all agree, some of the specific attributes that those three have.
It's just awesome.
It is awesome, but it's probably not as loud as Seattle.
Not as loud as Seattle.
There's not
or
the nostalgia
Arrowhead.
of Lambeau.
Like Arrowhead is also built in an era where like it was a giant parking lot around an arena, and you have the Chiefs.
Sure.
I mean the Royal Stadium is right there as well.
Let's go way out. We'll put it on a highway.
Yep.
And this is what we do. And it's just not how we build them anymore.
No. I think like my top outdoor stadiums are Ravens for sure. Seattle.
Heinz is good too.
Would be number 2. Arrowhead would
whatever
probably
it's
be
called.
3.
Acrisure or whatever it is.
Acrisure would probably be 4. And then I would maybe do Lambeau. Like Levi's is nice, but it's nothing to get excited about, honestly.
Well, Levi's and Meadowlands are the two that it's like, this is what happens when you have to build a stadium in some of the most expensive real estate in the world.
Yeah.
So you can't do Jerry World. You
Right.
can't do Minneapolis. You don't, like $2 billion they built Jerry World for $2 billion when they built it.
Yeah.
Think about what that thing would cost. First of all, if you tried to do it in the shadows of Manhattan or in Silicon Valley, or even now.
Sure.
It's a $5 billion stadium now.
Yeah, I think I'd still put Lambeau. The only problem with Kansas City for me, I think Kansas City's super cool, but the stupid windows don't open in the press box.
Right.
So like you never
was
get
designed
that
way, though, right?
feel.
The guy didn't want it?
Yeah. You never get that feel for.
Just give yourself the option.
Of course.
Yeah.
Put a lock on it. This isn't hard.
So I mean that's, but I would definitely put Baltimore.
Mile
The
High's
other
pretty good,
cool
right?
thing. The other cool thing with Seattle, the last time we were there, they had a barista in our booth.
Nice.
They had a barista in every booth, Starbucks, whatever you wanted.
That's nice.
For the entire
Good.
game.
Good job.
I don't even drink coffee. I was like, I'll take a hot chocolate. Keep them coming.
There you go. Yeah, it's a hard thing to try to do, like, because there's a moving scale on all of this of what you can do with the space that you're in. All right. You got time for one more?
Real quick, because we're up against it. The Browns, Cleveland Browns Stadium comes in at number 19. The bottom three appropriately placed. Number 28, Hard Rock Stadium, home of the Dolphins.
Terrible.
Yeah, that's tough.
Number 29, TIAA Bank Field, home of Jacksonville. I'd put Jacksonville actually ahead of Miami.
Yeah,
Jacksonville's fine, and it should be.
It's just the city that sucks.
Jacksonville should be way ahead of Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati.
Cincinnati's a bottom
three for sure
by far.
I have no problem with Cincinnati.
Commanders.
You just like those dive bars you go to.
Commanders and Cincinnati.
I got a great view of the field, though, too.
That's true.
Like
it's true.
It's a good setup.
Like Hard Rock at least has some cool things in it. It's just unbelievably hot. But
yeah,
Hard Rock's light years. Cincinnati and Washington are the worst by a wide
FedEx Field
margin.
is last place, and rightfully so.
And the worst one I'd ever been in was the old where the Chargers used to play in San Diego.
Yeah,
that was.
The guys asked me about
awful.
that. They go, "What's the worst stadium?" I said, "It actually wasn't any of these. It was Qualcomm in San Diego.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like we couldn't even put the gear in the booth.
No, it's a disaster. I think the most disappointing thing is like the new MetLife in New York is relatively new, and it's like 25th on this list.
It's an awful stadium.
I'll tell you the one that's going to be the most impossible to replace is going to be the Superdome in New Orleans.
I'm not going to lie. I think Soldier Field should be down.
Soldier Field's terrible.
I haven't been. It was terrible before the renovation. I haven't been in it since the renovation.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Soldier Field's best part is the outside of it.
Yeah, it
It's
looks cool
with the columns
before they put the
before
spaceship in it. Yeah.
No, that one's bad. There are a lot.
Like imagine New Orleans trying to do a new stadium in New Orleans.
Yeah. The Superdome's not great.
No, it's not. I mean, it's historic. There's nostalgia, but it's not great. It's
I think
huge.
I will say the ones that I thought got a little jobbed on here.
Quickly.
The Colts. That's not a bad stadium.
Lucas Oil's great.
Lucas Oil's,
that's all. You build Lucas Oil here, you'd be fine.
Yeah,
NRG should be down further.
Houston should be
Except
down.
for
And Ford Field is a solid stadium. It's a solid viewing experience.
Yeah.
Fine with Ford Field.
Yeah, both of those you'd be fine with. So much more to come. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, the next level will have some updates if there are any on the Delpit injury that happened a little more than an hour ago. Probably an update tomorrow before, if not. So we'll see where that goes on that side of things. But looked pretty good after we took a look at it. Not up.
Hopefully he's fine. And like I said, you got a good insurance policy with Rodney McLeod being here that if it were a short-term injury, you would be very much okay on the back end of your defense.
Next level's up next. We're back tomorrow. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.